Ever pondered what led to the colossal fall of one of history's greatest empires, the Roman Empire? One might imagine that such a towering powerhouse could stand against any adversity. Yet the Roman Empire, in all its glory and grandeur, was not impervious to the ravages of time and human folly. The Roman Empire, during its zenith, was a marvel of civilization. Its reach stretched from the sun-kissed shores of the Mediterranean to the misty landscapes of northern Europe, encapsulating a diverse multitude of cultures, languages, and peoples. Its cities, adorned with grand architecture, bustling markets, and intricate road networks, were a testament to Rome's might and ingenuity. But even the most magnificent of empires is not immune to decline. The fall of the Roman Empire was not a sudden catastrophe, a single event that brought about its destruction. Rather, it was the result of a complex interplay of social, political, and military factors that unfolded over centuries. It was a slow burn, a gradual crumble, a steady decay that gnawed at the foundations of Rome's might. The Roman Empire's descent into oblivion was marked by military decay, economic turmoil, political corruption, and barbarian invasions. Each event, each crisis, each decision, and each mistake was a thread in the intricate tapestry of Rome's downfall. The fall of the Roman Empire was not just the end of an era, but a poignant reminder of the transience of power and the inevitability of change. The enigma of the Roman Empire's fall is not just a question of how, but also why. It is a story of human ambition, folly, resilience, and change. Stay tuned as we unravel the sequence of events leading to the fall of the Roman Empire. Let's delve into the annals of history, sift through the sands of time, and uncover the secrets behind the fall of this once majestic empire. The first signs of decay appeared in the military, the backbone of the Roman Empire. The Roman military was a force to be reckoned with, a symbol of the empire's might and grandeur. But even the strongest of foundations can crack, and for Rome, it began with the military. The first cracks surfaced in the form of increasing reliance on foreign mercenaries. The Roman military, once filled with proud Romans, began to see an influx of these mercenaries. These were soldiers of fortune, hailing from the far corners of the empire and beyond, driven not by loyalty to Rome, but by the lure of coin. They were skilled warriors, yes, but their allegiance was fickle. They pledged their swords to the highest bidder, and their loyalty to Rome was as thin as the gold coins they received. This was a dangerous game for Rome to play. A military driven by money rather than patriotism is a shaky foundation on which to build an empire. Yet, Rome continued to play, blinded by the short-term gains and ignoring the long-term consequences. But the mercenaries were not the only problem. Maintaining such a vast and diverse military force was a costly affair. The treasuries strained under the weight of the military expenditure. The coffers, once brimming with gold from the conquests, began to run dry. Every denarius spent on the military was a denarius not spent on infrastructure, education, or public welfare. The financial strain began to show, and the once invincible Roman military machine started to crumble. The cracks widened, and the decay set in. The military, once the empire's greatest strength, had become its Achilles heel. The soldiers, once the empire's protectors, had turned into a potential threat. The treasury, once overflowing, was now strained to its limits. As the military weakened, the empire's strength started to wane, setting the stage for further troubles. The stage was set, the actors in their places. All that was left was for the curtain to rise on the final act of this grand tragedy. While the military decayed, the empire was also grappling with economic turmoil and political corruption. The mighty Roman Empire, once the envy of the world, was now on the brink of collapse, not just from external threats, but also from within. The economy was in a state of constant upheaval. High taxes were imposed to fund the empire's military and grandeur, but this led to an unintended consequence. Farmers, the backbone of the Roman economy, were driven out of business, unable to bear the burden of these heavy taxes. This economic distress forced them to abandon their lands and flock to the cities in search of livelihoods. The cities, however, were not equipped to handle this sudden influx of people. Overpopulation led to a shortage of food and resources, creating a vicious cycle of poverty and desperation. The once thriving cities became overcrowded slums, a stark contrast to the golden age of Rome. Meanwhile, political corruption was rampant, further exacerbating the empire's problems. Leaders were more interested in their own wealth and power than in the welfare of the empire. Inconsistent leadership and frequent changes in power created instability and confusion. The government, riddled with corruption and bribery, was unable to effectively address the empire's mounting issues. This corruption reached all the way to the top. Emperors were often chosen not for their leadership skills, but for their ability to bribe their way into power. These emperors, lacking the necessary competence and vision, were often unable to manage the empire's complex problems. The once mighty Roman Empire was now a shadow of its former self, crippled by economic turmoil and political corruption. The citizens who once took pride in their empire were now disillusioned and disheartened. The empire's internal strength was eroding, and this internal strife further weakened the empire, making it vulnerable to external threats. These internal strife further weakened the empire, making it vulnerable to external threats. The final blow came in the form of invasions by various barbarian tribes. These tribes, once considered a mere nuisance at the fringes of the empire, turned into an unstoppable force that would hammer the final nail into the coffin of the Roman Empire. Among the many invasions, two stand out for their sheer impact and audacity. The first was the sacking of Rome by the Visigoths in 410 AD. Led by their king Alaric, the Visigoths, who were once allies of Rome, turned against the empire due to years of mistreatment and broken promises. The sacking of Rome, the Eternal City, sent shockwaves throughout the empire. It was seen as an unthinkable event, a tragedy that was a clear signal of the empire's waning power. Just 45 years later, Rome was sacked again, this time by the Vandals, in 455 AD. The Vandals, led by their king Genseric, not only sacked the city but also went on to establish a kingdom in North Africa. This was a severe blow to the empire, as North Africa was a crucial breadbasket for Rome. This invasion, more than any other, underscored the inability of the empire to defend its territories and its people. These invasions were not isolated incidents. They were part of a broader pattern of barbarian incursions into Roman territory. Each invasion chipped away at the empire's strength and morale, leaving it more vulnerable to the next. The empire, once an indomitable force that dominated the known world, was now incapable of protecting its own heartland. The invasions by the barbarian tribes were the death knell for an empire already weakened by internal decay and external pressures. They exposed the vulnerabilities of an empire stretched too thin, too complacent in its own might, and too embroiled in its own internal struggles to effectively counter external threats. The once mighty empire was now a mere shadow of its former self, its glory days a fading memory. The barbarian invasions marked the end of an era and the beginning of a new one, a world without the Roman Empire. In 476 AD, the Western Roman Empire came to an end, marking the beginning of the Dark Ages in Europe. This period, often shrouded in mystery and misconception, was sparked by the abdication of the last Roman emperor, Romulus Augustus, a mere boy at the time. His forced resignation by the Germanic king Odoacer marked the end of over 1,000 years of Roman rule, a civilization that had once stretched from the sun-soaked sands of Africa to the misty highlands of Scotland. The fall of the Roman Empire was akin to a great tree, once vibrant and full of life, now succumbing to the relentless decay of time. The once bustling cities fell silent. The grand bathhouses and forums, once the social hubs of society, were abandoned. The intricate network of roads, the veins and arteries of the empire became overgrown and neglected, severing the once unified provinces from each other. This monumental collapse sent shockwaves throughout the known world. Europe, previously united under Roman rule, fragmented into a patchwork of barbarian kingdoms. The culture, art, and advancements of the empire were replaced by a period of cultural and economic decline known as the Dark Ages. This era, often characterized by the loss of classical knowledge and a decline in living standards, lasted for centuries. Yet in the ashes of the fallen empire, seeds of the future were being sown. The Roman legacy lived on in the Byzantine Empire, the empire's eastern half, which continued to thrive for another 1,000 years. The Latin language, the Roman legal system, and even certain aspects of Roman culture and technology were adopted and adapted by the barbarian kingdoms, laying the groundwork for the future nations of Europe. The fall of the Roman Empire, a tale of glory and decay, serves as a stark reminder of the impermanence of earthly power. The echoes of this ancient civilization, however, still resonate in our modern world, a testament to the enduring influence of Rome, even in its decline and fall.